welcome you into the TDR Diamond Hands podcast this week, a division of the Dales Media Group. And joining me as usual is entrepreneur, investor, and contributor to the Dales Report, Anthony Varrell. How are you?
How's it going, Chad? Good. Been a good week so far.
Where's our friend Benny? I think he's playing golf this week.
Ben's on vacation with the family. Hope he's enjoying it. It's
much needed.
Yeah, much needed, I'm sure.
So you and I this week, so let's get right into our first segment, which is the cannabis industry. Big week, obviously. As we now complete a bulk of the earnings reports of the biggest players in the space, we begin with the company that you liked last week, Boris Jordan's Curaleaf company, who reported $312 million this past quarter and $84 million in earnings. What was your reaction based on the latest reports?
I mean, not only did I pound the table on Curaleaf last week, but I mean, they blew out earnings. They came in and beat. I mean, they look like they're going to be the first cannabis producer to annualize $1 billion in revenue. And the best thing that I like about Curaleaf is concurrently with the earnings release, you saw Boris Jordan on every major news outlet in the United States, primetime news, pounding the table on Curaleaf. Yep. Not only pounding the table that they're going to dominate the United States, they're going to dominate with Select, their brand. They're going to also start to dominate the EU. And EMAC is coming. I think EMAC is going to be a huge growth engine. And I mean, I couldn't be happier to be a Curaleaf shareholder right now.
How about the comment he made? April 2022 is when he thinks legislation will happen. Is he aggressive? Tax reform, safe banking? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I want it to come. I thought that was being pretty pretty bullish.
Say yes.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I would. 2022 is best case scenario.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at everything though right now that's going on from cannabis to crypto. I mean, everything is in like a regulatory limbo.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I've said before, the government likes fucking things up. They've done it before. They'll do it again.
Yeah.
But it's coming.
Do you think that's why there hasn't been much reaction? Like, these are big numbers. So why is the share prices not reflecting?
I'm going to attribute it to everybody's shell shock from COVID. They're off the desk and they're not coming back until the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that I know at iBanks and guys that I know on the brokerage scene and money managers across the board. I mean, they're all at their cottages right now. They're all on vacation. They're all happy to get the hell out of their house and go enjoy the outside world.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen volumes depressed. We've seen a little price action to the downside. I'm accumulating right now across the board. I've topped off all of my U.S. cannabis positions this week. I mean, the fundamentals speak for themselves.
Sell in May and go away, but there's a point in August where you got to start re-engaging in those conversations. Do you not think?
And the time's now. Time is now. I mean, like I said, I've topped off all of my positions. I've started to add to my MSOS position. And I mean, I'm more bullish than ever. The numbers speak for themselves. When you've got an industry that's not trading at a true growth multiple and is putting up true growth numbers, and these companies are profitable, I mean, this really is the big long. Danny Moses said it 3 years ago, and that still rings true today. That, I mean, we're still in early innings. This is not going anywhere.
Duly noted. Keeping on cannabis, Trulieve and Harvest Health had some strong numbers as well. Can you imagine once these two actually merge? Big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a hell of a merger. I mean, when you look at Trulieve putting up the annualized revenue that they're doing right now, putting up the EBITDA, and I mean, they really arguably are a single state operator. They're not a true MSO. I mean, bringing in the Harvest acquisition, bringing in that $100 million top line revenue, and then bringing in that EBITDA to the bottom line, plus those other markets, is just going to, and brands and IP is just going to make them a fortress.
Yes.
And it is going to make them a formidable competitor to Curaleaf.
Yeah, for sure. Finally, the shocker of the week, Verano Holdings. Where did this come from? $199 million their latest quarter, which caught me by surprise. But needless to say, I'm sure management is now flexing their muscles. But this is what really grabbed my attention. Curaleaf reported $84 million in EBITDA on $312 million in revenue. Verano did $199 and did $81 million in EBITDA. So company to look for moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it caught my attention. I was not a shareholder of Verano. I'm still not a shareholder of Verano. I'm doing some more diligence into them, but I mean, with those numbers, it's a very sexy pick. If you're looking for a tier one operator that's obviously got a lot of upside, that's a hell of an EBITDA number. They're in Illinois. They're cranking in other markets, and I mean, they definitely caught my attention and are on my radar. with this earnings release.
All right, let's now focus on the psychedelic segment of our podcast. It's quiet, real quiet right now, but look who's joining us to provide a little insight, direction, and some expertise. The CEO of one of the major players in the space, Payton Nyquvest from Numinus Wellness. Payton, what's going on, brother?
Things are good. It's August. It's definitely August. But
summer doldrums, isn't it?
It is.
So, you and I have talked about on the side as well. We've seen huge growth in this industry over the past 12 months. Where are we today? It is mid-August. It is the summer doldrums, but you're sitting down with a group of investors. They're asking questions. Let's say they're concerned. They want to see some movement. What's the feedback or advice that you would give them as we march into Q4 of 2021?
It's and we were laughing about this the other day, but if I think of where we were last August, not just in the space, but regulation, research, all of this, the conversation last year this time was like, is this going to be a legitimate thing or not? And now we've had companies raise hundreds of millions of dollars. You've had a mountain of research be initiated. You've got Health Canada has made huge strides in regards to regulation. You've seen decriminalization in the US. I think we're still in the very early innings. But if I look at what's happened over the last year, you've almost got, it's like excitement fatigue. I think a little bit. People are, waiting for something to drop every week. And I think there's still lots of excitement going on. But I think, also a little bit of managing expectations, because this is, we're a bit of a ways out. So.
Yeah, I guess to harp on excitement fatigue, I mean, what do you see as like one of the major catalysts that's, I guess, in the pipeline, not only for Numinus, but I guess sector wide as well? Because I mean, it's something that everybody's kind of looking for in the short term and in the long term.
Yeah, great question. There's lots of conversation about the Compass results, obviously. Yeah. I think if you zoom out a little bit more, I mean, there's a ton of groups doing a ton of research right now. You're going to see a lot of research come out of a lot of places, and frankly, outside of Compass, which is industry leading, kind of where they're at in the FDA process. But a lot of the results that you're going to see from a lot of groups, whether it's safety data, stuff like that, it's already sort of stuff that's been validated, but it's going to continue to be impressive numbers, right? You look at, the MAPS results, right?
Yeah.
Those are so astronomically better than any other treatment for PTSD right now that, we probably spent more time telling people and convincing people that it was real than that those were good results, right? And I think, I think you're going to see a lot of inbound results from a lot of groups. But the other thing that I would say is, if you look at the movement that's going on in Health Canada, and obviously we've just, in real time, we're finding out that there's an election coming. But I think you see a big push towards access, especially in regards to psilocybin. And I think you could see some fairly unique models in regards to psilocybin regulation that might not follow the exact pharma approach. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, talking about that pharma approach, and it's something I've been talking about with some colleagues as well. I mean, psychedelics, do you see them more as like a therapeutic and a medication, or more like a cure for mental illness? Because I mean, when we're looking at the psychedelic compounds, a lot of them are showing efficacy in 1, 2, or 3 applications versus the SSRIs that, I mean, you're just on in perpetuity. And it's more of like a patch.
Yep. It's curative intent for sure.
Yep.
I mean, again, if you look at the MAPS data, over 80% of people saw a significant reduction in their PTSD symptoms. But I think more importantly is 66% of people no longer fit the PTSD criteria. So that's a cure, right?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that people miss is they go, oh, well, where's your reoccurring revenue if you're selling a cure for people? Which, look, that's
the problem though. That's the problem with big pharma. That's exactly what we're trying to disrupt, and that's why we're so passionate about this.
Exactly.
I mean, we need to cure people, not prolong the inevitable.
Well, and not only that, but if you look at where I think the psychedelics industry is going to be 10 years from now is, we all go to the dentist a couple of times a year, even though we have perfect teeth, right?
Yep.
If you look at the way we treat our mental health, we've treated it as like, unless the walls are closing in, we're not going to do anything. And I think
Correct.
where psychedelics, pose a really interesting solution is, one, yes, absolutely curing some of these really serious indications that we've got. But then we get talking about, what about performance? What about mental wellness? What about, yoga, meditation? These are all things that are booming industries and have been for quite some time. And I mean, psychedelics, throw a lot of gas on that fire.
Yeah, I think they're going to, and I wholeheartedly want them to. Because I mean, I think there's absolutely a place for them, and I think that it's everything that's going on is for the better, and it is leading towards that cure.
When we look back 12 months ago, where we were and where we are today, let's now fast forward 12 months from now. Where do you think we are?
I think the anticipation for legal MDMA access is 2023. Okay. I think so that's around the corner. Now, who knows what's going to happen with sort of the descheduling process. I do think Canada is going to be in a leadership position there, with both MDMA and psilocybin, but just the way the regulation can work in Canada, I think you probably see accessibility there quite quick. And again, I think you've seen Health Canada and I can inform a little bit here, but they got absolutely inundated with Section 56 applications when they started granting, those programs for people. They've now looked at the Special Access Drug Program. The Special Access Drug Program, they've posted their intention to change. We provided them a briefing note to make the changes, so we know very well what's going on there. So the Special Access Drug Program, for people who don't know, is an access point for unlimited amount of Canadians to get access to drugs or therapies before they've gone through the clinical trial process. That program is already getting inundated with people making applications before it's even approved. So, you're seeing this landslide. And most recently, you saw a poll done by the Canadian Psychedelic Association that showed that 82% of Canadians are in favor of a legal psilocybin framework for therapy. So I think sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's connect the dots then. This podcast is all about companies that we like and stocks to look for. So put it together. Your research in MDMA, Dr. Evan Wood, obviously, in his close relationships with Health Canada, your ongoing relationship with MAPS. If that comes to fruition, what's that say about your company moving forward? I mean, the opportunity, I guess, it presents.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're very excited about where things are going. I think the research that we've done, the partnership that we have with MAPS, we're very, very excited about. We've got a number of trials going on with psilocybin starting this year as well. Even with the extraction that we've got, being able to get an extraction product into the market. And I think, the research that we've done has been focused on real world data. What does this look like in a real world context? Because very, very quickly, people are going to have to try and figure out what are the models, right? It's one thing to have access, but how are you going to model this out so that it is actually accessible for people? And then really start to work towards, what is supportive pay look like? Where's insurance coverage going to come from? Yeah. Where's public health coverage going to come from? Those are important questions. And I think, again, the reason why we've taken the stance in regards to doing research and making sure that we're evidence-based is if you've got GPs, if this comes through a referral process, a GP is going to want to refer somebody to somebody who's done the research and has evidence 100%. That they can show to their clients, right?
Well, the key is conversations are ongoing, which is great. And that's what will grow an industry. Listen, appreciate the time. I know you're busy, but thanks for checking in. And tell these investors that it's almost like a hurry up and sit down type mode, is it not?
It's August every year, man. You always think it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And certainly this is a different market, but come September, people will be going, "Oh, I wish I hopped on things, a month ago."
No kidding.
Yeah.
Good stuff, brother. Appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. Take care. All right, now let's switch to crypto this week. Holy cow, a lot of stuff that went down, including hackers pulling out the biggest cryptocurrency heist, stealing more than 600 million in digital coins from token swapping platform Poly, only to return 342 million worth of tokens less than 48 hours, later, that the company said. And for those interested in learning more about the space, Poly is a decentralized finance platform, aka a DeFi platform that facilitates peer-to-peer transactions. So, Anthony, who hacked it and why?
Well, they don't know who hacked it yet. I've been reading through articles and obviously through forensics. I mean, that's the good thing about crypto right now. You've got such a high level of forensics and digital footprints in the space that, I mean, you can actually track these guys down relatively quickly. And I mean, not to get all, I guess, Robin Hoodish, but I mean, they literally came out and said they did this for fun. I mean, these hackers and these techies out there, I mean, they literally hack these platforms for fun. While it's ominous, and while we're talking about 600 million in capital being stolen off chain, they literally were cute about it. I think it just adds to the conversation of vulnerability in these platforms. And I mean, in the DeFi space, when Poly is facilitating cross-chain transactions, which essentially means if I own Bitcoin, or not, Bitcoin's a bad example because it's not an ERC token. But if you own Ethereum, and then if you want to change that Ethereum into Tezos, what you do is you leverage a protocol such as Uniswap, SushiSwap, or Poly, and that acts as the intermediary and executes that transaction. So I mean, Poly users might be a little bit careful moving forward,
for sure,
and we might see more adoption of the Uniswap and the SushiSwap and PancakeSwap protocols be put in place versus Poly due to vulnerabilities. So
this is a common sense question. What's this say about the security of the platform, and will this have an impact, you think, on current users, and it will be a positive effect on some of the other say protocols or platforms in the space?
Yeah, I mean, I think the net effect is going to be positive. I mean, if anything, it exposed the vulnerability in the platform so the devs can get to work and figure out what went wrong and fix it.
Yeah.
At the same time, it makes a strong argument for Coinbase. I mean, for instance, I've always been against Coinbase right because it really, at its core, it stands. Coinbase basically is contradictory to what crypto stands for, which is decentralization. However, Coinbase has become the market leader due to security. Coinbase, you can sleep at night knowing that your currency is in a hot wallet on Coinbase and it's not vulnerable.
Right.
Other protocols don't happen to have that liberty, and I mean, security is everything because this is people's money at the end of the day. Well, so, I mean, I do think it's a short-term negative, net positive for someone like a Poly.
So, industry as a whole had a strong performance again this week. Will this have any kind of impact, do you think?
I mean, we're seeing a little bit of a pullback today, actually. I mean, the coins are down across the board about anywhere between 5 and 12%. My portfolio is down on the day about 8%. But, I mean, this is also crypto. Anything short of a 30% correction, I mean, it's just kind of see what's going on and then just act accordingly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're going to see more pressure. I expected to see more pressure, actually, from the failed amendment in the House this week. Yeah, versus the security, this hack.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, the bill was presented to the House this week involving tax implication of crypto, that actually amendment being called Loomis-Warner Compromise. And unfortunately for crypto enthusiasts, as you said, it didn't receive unanimous support. So what's next? Is this, or will this have any kind of impact as far as eventually being regulated?
I mean, the good thing here is we saw the crypto community come front and center and act on legislation from a lobbying perspective, from a capital deployment perspective. I mean, everyone banded together and kind of forced the hand of the legislators to enact change on the absolute erroneous bill that they put on the floor. And I mean, to be honest, what makes me even more sick, the bill in its raw form, I mean, it had everything labeled under a broker, under assets. It had nothing defining DeFi, and it was all in the name of protecting the investor. I mean, if the legislators that wrote the bill wanted to be honest, this was to protect the banks. This was to protect the financial sector of the United States. I mean, this wasn't to protect the investor.
To protect the baby boomer generation, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, I'm all for it because this is just creating conversation. I mean, you had guys like Mike Novogratz literally came out this week and tweeted, anybody over the age of 70 needs to get the fuck out of Congress, needs to get the fuck out of the Senate. 100%. I mean, these people don't understand what they're trying to regulate. And I mean, it was it was inherent when you saw people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey go in front of the Senate committee and testify. The senators had no idea what was going on or any kind of frame of reference as to what they were talking about. And crypto takes that to the ceiling as far as the actual nuances and intricacies of the conversation.
Every dog has it.
But again, the conversation is actually happening, which is progress.
Yes. Well, that's the case. A lot of the verticals that we're covering, right? The psychedelics with that too. But every dog has a day. This will come to fruition. Heck, we got a president that actually thanked the governor of Michigan this week. The only problem is it was the previous governor.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me started on American politics. I mean, Joe Biden's as senile as it gets.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hear you, brother. All right. We won't make this political.
But to be honest, what really made me sick, and it's kind of representative of American culture, is Senator Shelby came out and said that he actually voted against the crypto amendment because he could not get his way and up the amount of defense spending that was going to be integrated into the bill, which is absolutely it's sickening. He actually came out and said that, and that was the reason why he didn't vote for the crypto amendment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Guess what time it is? It's time for the Diamond Hands Lightning Round. 3 companies, 3 picks that you like. You got 30 seconds each pick. Who's your first pick this week?
My first pick's Curaleaf. Curaleaf, like I said, it's a fortress. There's nothing but improving fundamentals. There's blue sky in Europe. There's blue sky in the U.S. And what I like the most is Boris said that they're looking to fortify Florida. Once they come into Florida, which they're in right now, but they're not saturated in Florida. Yeah. They're going to come in and select, and they're going to be able to command market share in the Florida market, which is one of the largest in the States. So I would say Curaleaf is my top pick.
Who's your second pick?
MSOS, the ETF MSOS. It's an aggregate of all of the U.S. operators. I mean, fundamentals across the board are booming. The conversation around legislation and the regulatory framework, it's going to come sooner or later. And I mean, I'm seeing 20% retracements in these stocks over the past 8 weeks, and it's not representative of the fundamentals of the businesses. There's a complete dislocation from everything from a multiple to a price action. And MSOS is going to be the sole beneficiary when the MSOs start to rise.
Interesting pick, to say the least. Third and final?
Yeah. Third and final, I'd have to go with Ethereum. I'm cautious right now because I want to see it retest the 3K level. But I think we can definitely go retest the all-time highs and hopefully knock out 4,200 here shortly. Bitcoin showing a bullish flag and bullish price action, which Ethereum will follow. And I mean, if I'm really being honest, I mean, I think you should be investing in Ethereum versus Bitcoin because Ethereum right now is the most used crypto on chain, and it's also got the most use cases, and it's being used every day in higher velocity with everything from DeFi to NFTs. So if I want crypto exposure and at a decent price, I mean, I'm watching Ethereum and I'm getting in here shortly.
Beauty, sharp as a razor. How's life besides this?
Good. I mean, it's good. Been hitting the golf course. We got a tropical storm on the way. In Florida.
You joining the Lakers? You going to be joining the Lakers too?
Yeah. I mean, I wish.
What do you think of that?
The money that I'm making right now. But yeah, I actually miss having LeBron in Miami. Those some of the best years in sports that we've seen. And
what do you think about Kyle Lowry going to the Miami Heat?
Kyle Lowry's 35. He's 35. We just gave him a $90 million 3-year contract. And if I could have had anybody, I would have had Bradley Beal. I don't want Kyle Lowry. I think that he got worse in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's
Well, big dollars being spent. Some of these contracts, though, even in baseball, I see $300-400 million contracts. I was looking at the market. You know, some of the teams that are going after some of these shortstops this year be commanding anywhere from $350 to $400 million.
Just wait till Ohtani. Wait till Ohtani's contract comes next.
What a story!
Ohtani's probably going to be the highest paid player in sports.
Yeah.
I mean, period. Leo Messi, however, just signed a new contract with PSG, and I think he's pulling down $42 million a year. On top of that, it'll probably net like 100 once you bring in sponsorship dollars.
Yeah.
And he's taking part of his pay in crypto. He's one of the athletes that joined the ride. He's taking part of his game checks are going to be paid in crypto.
Stephen Ehrlich, CEO of Voyager, fascinating story when they put their name on the Oakland Athletics stadium. But the main reason why is because it was Billy Beane. Billy Beane liked to think outside of the box, a movie off of Moneyball. But, this is a thing that obviously isn't going away. It's great to see. And it's like a lot of players are getting very, very smart and taking this as far as compensation. That's going to be a growing trend for sure,
Well, FTX just bought the naming rights for the Heat Arena in Miami.
They did.
Which they just dropped $100 million on the naming rights to the Heat Arena. They took it from American Airlines.
Wow.
It's now officially the FTX Arena starting this season.
That's a sign of the times. Okay, must watch.
Crypto's here. Crypto's here. It's not going anywhere.
No.
It's just getting bigger.
Yeah. Must watch. Check out Malice of the Palace, Netflix. It was the whole
I watched it last night.
What'd you think?
It was great. It was great. I mean, I think that you really take an in-depth look into it. I mean, it wasn't the players' fault. I mean, could they have done things differently? Yes. But, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if a fan spits, throws a beer, or does anything towards a player, they have every right at that moment in time to react.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a human being too. And as far as I'm concerned, if you throw something or spit on an athlete, you're a piece of shit and you deserve whatever's coming to you. That's just blatant disrespect on so many levels.
Hey, love the opinion. That's for sure. Listen, appreciate your time. See you next week.
Definitely. See you next week. Thanks.
Hey, if you want to learn more about the companies that we like, make sure to go to thedalesreport.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking here, and also follow us on Twitter @The Dales Report.